Hi, I'm Matt. Welcome back to another in-home repair video brought to you by ApplianceVideo.com. Stop. Before beginning any repair, always be sure to disconnect the power to the appliance. It is also recommended to test the outlet for proper voltage. Okay, we've got a GE side-by-side refrigerator. The customer's complaint was that there's very little ice cubes. I was just making very small ice cubes, and the water through the door was just coming out in pretty much just a trickle. Customer has replaced the water filter and still didn't change the pressure. So what we did was we just disconnected the line here going into the valve and basically ran it into a bucket, verified that we had good water pressure going into the inlet valve assembly, which we do. So the restriction is going to be basically somewhere internal on the valve. So we're going to be replacing the inlet valve assembly on this. Okay, we've got the unit unplugged. We're just going to go ahead and remove the 4 5/16 screws on the back cover. This will just give you a little bit more room to work here. Okay, we've got the water supply turned off to the unit. What we're going to do is just go ahead and loosen the fitting on the valve here first before we unmount it. All right, and we're going to go ahead and just remove that line completely. Now we're going to go ahead and remove the 1/4" screw holding the valve assembly in place. And just lift up on the bracket. It just is kind of held by this little hanger here. And you can just slide the whole assembly and rotate it right out. And you got all your lines here that are connected. They're just quick disconnects. So what we're going to do, we're just going to go ahead and disconnect the electrical, which is just one main harness. The new valve comes with the new harness and everything. And the easiest way to do this is you'll want to have a little paper towel or a towel sitting down here because there's going to be some excess water in the lines. And we'll just take our new valve here, set it right underneath this, and we're just going to disconnect it line for line. That way you don't get anything crossed. All right, so you'll notice you've got 3 1/4" lines and 1 5/16 line here. So we'll just go ahead and start with one of the 1/4" and just disconnect it. Pop it right into the new valve. And these are just quick disconnects, so you kind of press in on the little plastic lip here, push in on the line just a little bit, and pull straight out. And then on the new line, you just basically push it in pretty much as far as it'll go till it kind of just bottoms out. And you do, again, want to be very careful. Make sure you don't mix up any of those lines because you could pretty much cause a lot of back pressure in the system. Water can pretty much flow the wrong direction if you do reverse one of those lines. So once you did that, just make sure every line is fully seated in there. And you can go ahead and connect your harness here. Now occasionally you'll get them where they don't come with this whole harness, and if that does happen, you just basically remove the wiring harness off the old valve and just transfer it right over to the new valve. But this one did come with the wiring harness and everything. So now we're going to just go ahead and rotate this valve back into position. All right, and we're just going to kind of slip it right back up into place here. And you got your little hanger there that's going to drop right into a slot on the side. Tuck your wiring back up in. And we're going to go ahead and put the 1/4" screw into the mounting bracket. All right, now we're going to go ahead and pull the cap off there. We're going to reconnect our water line. And when you're reconnecting the line, you just want to be careful. Start it off by hand. Make sure you don't cross thread it. And then just go ahead and tighten it down. Now when you are tightening down copper lines, plastic lines, anything, you just want to basically snug it up. You don't want to over tighten it because you don't want to do any damage to the copper ferrule that's going to be in there. And then we'll go ahead and just install the 1/4 inch screw here on the strain relief. And that's just going to basically keep the line in place when the refrigerator does get pulled in and out. It doesn't put stress right on the fitting, and just basically kind of helps it to have not such a high probability of leaking. All right, we've got the water supply turned back on to the unit. We're just going to check for water pressure through the door. And we do have good water coming through the door now. We're going to go ahead and stop that for a minute here. After replacing a valve, you want to run some water through the door just to make sure you purge all the air out of the lines. It's advisable to run about a pitcher of water through, but we're just going to go ahead and run a little bit here, and we're going to go back to the back side and just check all the fittings for leaks. Okay, now we've had the water on for about 5 minutes. We've just been keeping an eye on this fitting here. We got no leaks at the copper fitting. It is advisable to give it a few minutes before you put everything back together, just to make sure you don't have a very slow leak, because sometimes it does take a little bit of time for a slow leak to appear. So what we're going to do now is just go ahead and put our back panel on. By reinstalling our 4 5/16 screws. And basically, when you do push the refrigerator back in, especially if you have a copper line or even a plastic line, you always want to just be conscious and push it back slowly. Make sure that you don't kink the line or roll over the line or anything like that that could cause any kind of stress damage to the water line itself. And that's going to complete the repair. Thank you for watching another quality video brought to you by ApplianceVideo.com.